So today I'm talking about this fantastic poo test. Okay, so it's all about poo. So this is an awesome test that is not available within the traditional medical community. It's only available from functional medical practitioners. Don't know why. Been around for well over a decade, and they've refined and fine-tuned these tests so they're better and better. It's a really good test. And let me tell you some of the symptoms that you might be struggling with, where this test is very helpful. So for example, most of these are chronic conditions which the medical industry struggles with. So we've got things like allergies, right? Food sensitivities, inflammation in the weak immune system. This is all an indication that either the gut is hyperactive and there's a dysbiosis, like too much bad bacteria and too little good bacteria. Then we've got things like joint pain, malnutrition, and weight issues. For example, if you have an overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria and not enough beneficial bacteria, for example, Akkermansia, which has been shown to be very good at extracting more calories than food, as opposed to calories being converted into fat. And then, of course, digestive issues, right? So if there's any kind of digestive issues at all, then a stool test is absolutely essential for looking at the root causes. So, for example, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal distension, a big beer belly where your organs are sort of slipped down and sitting around at the bottom of your torso. Gastrointestinal symptoms, IBD, IBS, and of course leaky gut. Right? The stool test is essential to see what's going on under the hood. And then we have things like mental disorders, mood disorders, neurological disorders. Because what the recent studies show is that if we have an unhappy gut with an overgrowth of either funguses, mold, bacteria, parasites or whatever, that leads to an unhappy mind, because there's a connection between the mind and gut through the vagus nerve. And conversely, if we have an unhappy mind, that can also affect our gut negatively. So there is a really strong connection between these two. Some people even refer to the gut as a second brain. And lastly, autoimmune disorders is another. Autoimmune disorders are very difficult for the medical industry to deal with and look at the root causes. And the root causes are often multifaceted and complex, and a stool test is very helpful in that case. So what do we get? Let me just finish this test again. So what we do in here is a tray, and you poo into the tray, and then with the spatula provided, you scoop some of that poo and put it into a tube, and we send it off to a lab in Canada. And a couple of weeks later, we get this super 15-page report with lots and lots of information about the species of bacteria in the gut, whether there's too much bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria, are there any parasites, is there an overgrowth of yeast, are we digesting our food properly, are we digesting our vegetable matter, fats and proteins, is there any white blood cells in the poo, which would indicate again a hyperactive immune system inside the gut, which would indicate there are some problems. Great stuff. And my favorite stuff is right at the end. And this is actually what I did personally on myself many years ago, maybe like 12 years ago. So I had like a yeast overgrowth. It wasn't Candida, mine was Geotrichum. But I had an overgrowth of that from a history of bad diet, basically, too much smoking, too much drinking, too much sugar, no exercise, treating my body like a human dustbin. And I had this overgrowth of Geotrichum, and what they did is they tested it against medical drugs or medical antifungals. So, for example, if you have any kind of fungal overgrowth, and you go to doctors, they'll give you antifungals. But what they do is they take some of your Candida or what have you, they put it in a petri dish and they test it with medical antifungals to see if it's resistant or not. Because some of this stuff is resistant, so there's no point taking the drugs. It's not going to work. It might even cause more damage. And so they can work out exactly what's going to work and what isn't going to work before you've even taken anything. And they not only do they test with medical drugs, but they test with natural botanicals as well, like berberine, caprylic acid, which is from coconuts, grapefruit seed extract, pretty straightforward what that is, and then oregano, an Italian herb. So great test, highly recommend it for anyone that has, any of these symptoms. It's really great for investigating the root causes of any of these issues. Thank you.